Hi guys, and welcome to my tutorial for creating your own custom arenas for the Skirmish plugin. So this tutorial is going to assume that you know, has a basic sort of grasp of Rust Edit, enough to actually be able to create a functional prefab, or even download them and load up a prefab into Rust Edit that you've found on CodeFling or Loan or wherever, and being able to sort of add a couple of entities and edit it. So the Rust Edit side of things is actually pretty simple. So I'm going to just basically create a new map now, throw in a prefab that I've downloaded, and then I'll show you how to add anchor entities, and yeah, we'll go into the plugin side of things. So let me just find the prefab I just downloaded. 1 second. Alright, so I've just downloaded an arena entity from Abra. I have no idea what this is. Just that it is lagging me at the moment. There we go. Okay, so this is the some random arena prefab from Abra. So I'm just going to apply all the height masks and biomes and everything else. So this is, now in here. So what we're going to do is, the only thing we really need to do with this prefab is actually create a couple of anchor entities. Now, what's an anchor entity, you might ask? An anchor entity is a set of two entities that, when paired together, are going to tell the plugin that, hey, yes, this is actually the arena we're looking at, and we're going to offset all the spawn positions using those entities. So those entities are going to be 0, 0, 0, and then any spawn position we create is going to be offset from those entities. So TLDR is add two entities that you would be able to spawn in game in the exact same location as each other, that can't be seen by players. So my old favorite is the old Pookie Bear. So I like using the Pookie Bear as the primary entity. So this is the entity that's basically the one that's going to be, the primary entity, for I can't think of a better word for it. And then another entity, you want to make sure that the second entity is going to be unique. You do not want to have the same entity combination as any other arena. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So I mean, looking at other deployed entities would probably, that are aren't too common, would be an idea. So for example, a bed, for instance, a card table or something like that. So because it's being spawned in Rust Edit, we don't have to worry about things being destroyed. So I'm going to use a ceiling light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my Pookie entity. I don't know why my left click is not working. Okay, yep, that's fine, we can work with it. My left click isn't working, so I'm going to do this just using the hierarchy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my Pookie, and I'm going to copy the X position of it, paste that into where the ceiling light is, select my Pookie, copy the Y position, paste that to where my ceiling light is, copy the Pookie, copy the Z, so open the Pookie, copy the Z position, and paste that with my ceiling light. So if I select the Pookie and the ceiling light, both of them are going to be in the exact same XYZ position. Anything else doesn't matter. As long as the XYZ position is the exact same floating values on all three values, you're all good. So now that we've got this positioned, we're going to save this. We actually would want to save this as a new prefab file, but again, I can't select everything at the moment, so we're just going to assume that this is, we've prefabbed this and we're happy with it. So I'm just going to save the map, and then we can boot it up into a server. So we'll call this anchor. So we're going to put this up into our server, and then we're going to play around with the plugin side of things, and I'll show you how to actually create spawn points using these two magical objects. Okay, so before we get into our server, or before we log into the map, we're going to want to copy the mod files across to Oxide. So we want to basically move Skirmish Spawns.cs into our Oxide plugins folder, and this is going to generate a configuration file. So we're going to go into our Oxide config Skirmish Spawns, and we're going to see here three things. So the first thing is, unless you're actually a plugin developer, leave that as false, because you want to have you want to be able to export your map with basically a list of configuration settings that your users can simply drop into their config. And this is the format. If you set this to false, it outputs what we're about to do as that format. The primary deployable entity that is used to anchor the spawn points in your map. So by default we have assets Pookie Bear, which is what I've got in my, which I set as my primary asset already, so we don't have to worry about that. If we didn't set that as your primary asset, change it. So if you've got a different entity combination, set one of them here and then set the other one here. Now if you're not sure how to find asset paths, because the paths are pretty important, what you want to do is you want to go to this website here, corrosion-hour/rust.prefab-list, or just Google Rust prefabs and use the first link. And you want to search for your entity in here. So if we type in Pookie, and we look here, there's a couple of Pookies that pop up. There's only really one that actually matches what we're looking for. So that's Pookie_deployed. So if we looked in Rust at its prefab list, we could see that our entity was called Pookie_deployed. So that's a pretty obvious sort of choice. You don't want to do world models, and you don't want to do .item.prefabs because they're not the thing you want. You always want to either make sure it's an _deployed entity, or the entity that you know for a fact matches. Worst case scenario, you have to download a plugin to kind of prod it. The other one we used was a ceiling light. So we need to basically look for our ceiling light here. So we've got a couple here, so loot spawns, misc dressing, props, flickering. Here we go. Assets, prefabs, deployable, ceiling light.deploy.prefab. So what I do is I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it into my configuration file, and save. And I'm going to reload the plugin, which is o.reload skirmish spawns. That's now been reloaded. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect to my server, and we're going to see if it worked. So when I'm loaded in, I'll be back. Alright guys, so we're inside the map now. So what we're going to do is we want to use some chat commands, a chat command to see if this is working / set our spawn positions up. But before we do that, we need to assign permissions to our user group to be able to do so. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the permissions group, which is skirmish.admin, so skirmishspawns.admin. We're going to grab our, copy this, or you can type it obviously, you know, probably won't have this open. And you're going to type in o.grant group, or grant yourself or whatever. I do group admin, and paste the permission. Sorry, I've got to copy the plugin over once. There you go. Sorry, I was running an older version. O.grant group admin skirmish spawns.admin. So you can see its permissions being granted now. And we have a chat command here called set spawns, which is just simply /set spawns. So if we go back into the game now, we kind of want to figure out where our spawn positions are going to be. So there's 3 sets of spawn positions we want to create. What the hell is that? It's on one of the old rocks, I think. 3 sets of spawn positions we want to create. The first one is our free-for-all positions, and then the other 2 are our team deathmatch positions, obviously team 1 and team 2. So it's probably easier to create the free-for-all one to start, because this one seems like a really good free-for-all sort of match. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go start somewhere, doesn't really matter where. And we're going to type in /set spawns. You can see here, found entity 1026, so it means it found our anchor entity. Now all we need to do is simply press the middle mouse button, and that creates a spawn point. Super easy. So run around, create yourself a heap of spawn points. Use about 40 or so. There's honestly as many or as little as you like. It doesn't really matter. Just bear in mind that there's not enough players may spawn on the same position as other players. Players may already spawn next to other players anyway. It's just luck of the draw. Perks of RNG, I guess. Yeah, keep pressing middle mouse until you're pretty much created all of the spawn points that you like. You find no-click tools definitely help. So I'm going to say, for argument's sake, you know, I've created as many spawn points as I wanted. You will obviously create a lot more than I have right now. But I'm just going to stop here for the purposes of this tutorial. Once you've created your spawn points, you're going to type in /set spawns again, and you'll see here finished spawn setup, saved file skirmish spawns, that gives you a file name. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our oxide folder again. So oxide, logs, skirmish spawns, and find the file name here. So I just saw mine by date modified. Now if I open this up, you're going to see, you know, I'm going to open up in that shitty program. Let's open it up in Notepad+. You're going to see here the formatted strings. These are basically what you want to ship with your plugin, so with your prefab for free-for-all spawns. So what I would recommend doing is kind of just leaving these until you've got all three done, and then consolidating them and formatting them the same way we do in Skirmish, so within the Skirmish plugin. So if you look at the Skirmish plugin here, you'll see we have our config. So we have our arena setup, our anchor entities, free-for-all spawns, TDM spawns, and TDM spawns 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, and I'll have a config example in the link in the description that you guys can follow. So you can obviously copy this as well. So we're just going to copy this entire thing. So kind of curly bracket to curly bracket. I highly recommend doing this in more of an advanced editor such as Notepad++, because it is just so much easier to do. We're just going to delete, basically from our free-for-all spawns here, we're going to delete from the curly brackets, leaving the square brackets intact, and do the same thing for our TDM spawns. Probably don't need these, we've already got enough examples. There we go. So that's basically our template. So we want to have our actually we'll leave Pookie there because that matches our current one. We want to call this thing something unique, so definitely don't make it the same name as anything else, otherwise it's going to cause problems with the plugin. So let's just call this one some random arena. Our anchor entity main, which is our Pookie Bear, is already good to go. We do need to grab our secondary entity, which is our ceiling light, and pop that in there. And then what we want to do is we want to grab the spawn positions that we've just created. And because these are going into free-for-all, we want to kind of put these in free-for-all. So you can see here we now have our free-for-all spawns. These have all been done. So we're ready to move on to Team 1 and Team 2. So Team 1, Team 2, very easy to set up. We're just going to go back to our plugin again. Oh, sorry, our chat command, sorry, because I've got memory of goldfish. Type in /set spawns, and we're going to create 4 spawn points, kind of near each other. I mean, create as many as you want. Again, it doesn't really matter. But generally keep them sort of within sort of the same area. We're going to go /set spawns again to close that off and create the log file. And before we minimize, we're going to go do the same thing but over on the other side of the map. So let's create a heap of spawns, and then /set spawns again to save the file. So we now have 2 extra files in our logs folder that we can use. We're going to open up the first one, grab the spawns, go to our TDM spawns. Now we just want to make sure we remove the last comma, because we don't need a comma before at our last curly brackets before the square brackets close. We'll just close that one off. Go back into our Skirmish Spawns folder again. Open up the next one. Copy them all. And paste them into TDM2 spawns. So TDM spawns 2. And that is pretty much it. So we don't want to do anything with anchor ID. Obviously we want it to be enabled, that's fine. We've got our primary and our secondary anchors already sorted. So now, in order to add this, in order for a player to add this to their existing configuration, all they need to do, and I mean you can even write instructions on how to do this, is simply grab everything between here, head over to their skirmish. I closed it, didn't I? It's alright. just open them back up, go to our config, skirmish. I know it was right there. And they have to simply add a entry in like that. Super easy. So I've got some random arena. Sorry, I buggered that up. I pasted it in the wrong side. We want to make sure we go at the end of this one, I think it is. Yes, that one there. So we want to comma there and then create that one there. Remove the comma. So now if I scroll up and minimize these, you can see we've got some random arena in there as well. We've got our spawn information. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to reload my plugin. Read skirmish. Hunger Games failed, don't worry about that. I'm going to do sk start. Oh, sorry. Alright, so you can see here Skirmish found and stored one arenas into memory. So it means it's found our arena. /sk start. Oh no, I need permissions. Hold on 1 second. Oh, yep. Okay, so because we haven't got the default lobby yet, the default prefab in here, I need to set a lobby position. So I'm just going to create a lobby over here. There we go. SK join. A bit of lag here at the moment. Just my own. So obviously this wouldn't be the real lobby system, but when the game launches, it's going to gear me up and spawn me in a random position within our arena. There we go. So confirmation that our arena is now working. Spawn positions are all handy dandy. That's all there is to it, guys. So I mean, all you really need to do is just simply save what you've kind of got here as a file for your customers to be able to kind of copy and paste into their existing skirmish configuration. And you can, yeah, basically have your maps listed, or if as a server owner, you can easily create your own unique skirmish arenas for your server, just to kind of differentiate yourselves from others running the plugin. So hope this was informative. I hope you guys liked the tutorial. If there's anything I missed, please let me know. I'll try to remember to put all the links in the description for the configuration, the link to the actual plugin to be able to make all this happen, of course, and to the corrosion hour list for the prefab names. And yeah, feel free to get in touch if you do have any questions. Cheers.